Hi, my name is Jeremy Nicolosi, and I am an ambassador for Chris Klug Foundation. The story of how I got here was in 2022. My sister, that is handicapped, had passed away, and we decided to donate all her organs. And from there, I had a race about a week later. I was going to go do my second 200 plus mile race. And I knew I could not give up that race and I had to go run in her honor. So I went and raced it and I realized I needed to do more than just, hey, I'm going to go run a race for her. I would like to do a little bit more. So I did a little bit of research. I saw that Leadville race was coming up and I was like, well, that's a really hard race. I would love to be into that. And then I could you know, make it Stephanie Story is my sister. What's her name? And I can really get her story out there. So I started looking up and found out that Chris Klug was part of the foundation to run for as the foundation. So I quickly email Anna asking, hey, what can I do to get in it? My sister just has passed away. We donated all her organs. I really want to be part of this foundation. And pretty much a couple weeks later, she emailed me back. She goes, hey, we got you on the list. As soon as we figure out who's going to do it first, and then we'll go from there. And so I did Leadville 2 years in a row with them. Have not finished the race, but have gotten Stephanie's name out there on her story of how everything went down. I was supposed to race this year, but with some unfortunate finance issues, I had to pull out. So I will be back next year. But this year is going to be a little bit of a break. And then hopefully by next year, I can finish Leadville, not only for my personal goal, but also for Stephanie. Even though at the end of the day, the goal is being reached, that Stephanie's name is being thrown out there. Chris Klug's foundation is also being out there. We're raising tons and tons of money for the foundation for an amazing cause. And so that's how I got to Chris Klug to get to the whole story with Stephanie and what her story is. So my sister at 20 and 2022, it was May 24, 2022, she passed away. She was actually handicapped. So most of her life that she had, we could call it a crutch, where she couldn't do normal things like we could. So she was fed by her tube. So she had a tube in her stomach that she was fed by. She could not be mouth fed or she would choke and, of course, not be able to chew any of the food. So she was constantly in the hospital for pretty much all her life, constantly every other month with either seizures or any kind of issues where it arrives with her being handicapped. So she had cerebral palsy, which caused her to be handicapped. And a lot of times it was, hey, we have to go take care of Stephanie. We don't know how long it's going to be. And many a times the doctors had said that she wasn't going to live past. It was 3 years old, it was 10 years old, and it was 13. We fast forwarded to 2022, and at 33 years young, I never say old. She's still my baby sister. She had passed away, and in a heartbreaking way of her passing away, it was a sign that her life needed to live on, and it might not be here, but in spirit. And so when the doctors, because she had coded twice at the house, the ambulance had picked her up, brought her to the hospital. And at this time, my dad is still alive, called up me and my brother and said, hey, if she codes one more time, we're gonna pull the plug and not let it so she doesn't have to be on life support anymore. So all that had happened. The doctor had came in and said, hey, have you ever thought about organ donations? And we're like, yes, please. We would love to. At the end of the day, if she can save more lives, just given a gift, then that's what it is. So even though that it was me, my dad, and my brother that had made the decision, but it wasn't our decision. It was Stephanie all over. She was constantly in this conversation, in this meeting with the doctor and telling us yes, yes, yes. So at the darkest time of her passing away, it's a bright light because she saved 8 lives, we call it. But in my opinion, in my view, I believe she saved many lives, and I like to call it thousands of lives. So she might have saved this one person that will go on to save another life, or even produce another life because it was saved by a simple donation of either organ, tissue, blood donation, however you want to call it, so that life can live on. So unfortunately, my dad had passed away a month later, so we never got the list of who was the recipient of Stephanie's organs. But I like to keep it as I'm okay with not knowing, because anytime I meet somebody that's new or in this world that hey, I'm a recipient or anything of an organ or blood or whatever it is, it's like maybe that's part of my sister right there. And then it just becomes a amazing amazing story to tell everybody when you're out and about, where it's like, hey, my sister touched this person, and then from there it just goes on and on. And look, at the end of the day, I'm normal. I can run, I can walk, I can eat, I can do all these hard things. I can go do a run, I can go run 300 plus miles, 200 plus miles, whatever it is. The true story is Stephanie, was there all this time to just battle, 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 never once complained or anything like that. So like at a hard day, or if I'm just not feeling it that day, she's there for me, and she goes, "Hey, look, the next it's gonna be a struggle, but let's go." And she's my hero, and I miss her dearly. But at the end of the day, her gift was unfortunately not being here anymore and saving many lives. And I love every bit of it, and I will tell my story over and over again, and I will do whatever I can. And so at the end of the day, with her passing, I've made more of a family connection with Chris Klug than I probably would ever have thought of about a passing. And it's growing to bigger and bigger. And every time I talk about Chris Klug, it's always it's family, and it's not friends or anything like that, or an organization. I'm part of a family, and I would love to continuously grow this and even spread the word even more that, hey, people need to donate, either even if you can't do an organ, you can't do tissue or any of that kind of donation, or even if you can't do blood, just donate a few bucks, and then that goes a long way. And it is just, there's a lot of people that need organ donation, blood donation, and we just don't understand it until you really get into the whole foundation of understanding everything. So I'll speak to I'm dead. I will speak Stephanie's story. I will talk about it every day, every run. It will be constantly. Sometimes you just got to tell me to shut up. And I'm okay with that. That's fine, because once I get on a roll, I can't stop at all. So even furthering that with Chris Klug, I had came up with a benefit run for Stephanie, more of a remembrance of her life and how she was, and then also to pretty much partner with Chris Klug. So last year was our first year. It's called the Blue Ducky 5K Waddle. All the registration fees go straight to Chris Klug, and you do get a shirt, you get a medal, and you get sunglasses, but that doesn't include the registration. That is strictly on the company that I created called Beach Trail Racing, and we give that to you as this is what our gift is for you, as long as you can donate. Like we like to call it, because the registration is going to be a donation fee, and it goes straight to Chris Klug. And so last year we did 500, and then this year was a little bit better. We went 700. And then, of course, next year, I would love to do more and more and keep doing it. So this year we did a virtual that was awesome, because Jesse and Anna from Chris Klug both signed up and then sent me pictures of them doing their virtual run. That was actually very touching, and just shows that, look, even a small group can make a big difference. And that's how I look at it. And we can be in a small pond. And I guess I use this as a reference, like I did at the race, was, hey, we're all duckies, and each little ripple can make a big effect. So even if you're a single person, that one little ripple can just affect a whole big pond out there. And there's many ponds that we're going to conquer soon. And it's just work in progress, and how it is. And so how we came up with Blue Ducky is, the first toy that my sister ever grabbed was a rubber ducky, and blue is just a color that she always kind of reacted differently. You could pull up certain colors, and it was always blue. So in my mind, blue ducky is her favorite toy, and we're gonna go with that. And that's the story that I'm gonna stick to and talk about it every day. So that's just part of what I try to get into the community, spread the word a little bit more. At every race, I talk about the blue ducky, I talk about my sister, and I talk about Chris Klug, because when she passed away, I was at a loss for a while. And look, she's my guardian angel up there, but that was always, I would come home, I would see her, that smile would light up the room, and it's difficult to not see that anymore. But when I see that the the change that is going on with Chris Klug, and how we're making a difference, it brings it brings happiness to me. And then I can just say, hey, my sister has done it as well. So that's pretty much the whole story.